What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Glory Boys podcast, where we're here to help you think bigger. I'm one of your hosts, Austin.
I'm Darren.
And I'm Trev. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like button and the subscribe so you don't miss any of our videos
unsubscribe.
coming on. No, Tony,
Unsubscribe.
no. Don't unsubscribe. You're here to stay. If you're listening on audio version, leave us a rating. It really helps us get the message out there and provide a lot more value to a lot more people.
Yes, and today we are joined by an outstanding man. He is an award-winning film and TV composer. Ooh. He's a chart-topping artist, a true humanitarian and advocate. He's collaborated with some of the most recognizable brands and a true artist at heart. The Nebraska boy from LA, Tony Anderson.
What an intro.
Let me just correct you. I've never won an award in my life, except in second grade. I won a ribbon at the Burt County Fair for my blueberry muffins.
Okay.
Hey,
also,
that's award-winning.
I don't think I've ever topped a chart either.
Okay.
Well, the internet lied to me twice then. So
did it really say that?
It really said that.
Well,
it
okay.
actually even had the award.
Let me be honest too. What's great about this is someone told me recently, they Googled me, and the number one search result was Tony Anderson Notre Dame fire. So my Spotify bio about me being in charge of repairing the Notre Dame has apparently caused enough people to Google search me that it's the number one search result.
Wow.
So I'm shocked that's not in there. But
I didn't find that.
Just to clear it up for your listeners, I've never won anything outside the Blueberry Muffin Award.
Which is fire, by the way.
And I don't know that I top any charts, unless you're my wife, because I think she listens to me.
There you go.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Spotify wrapped up.
It's great to be here, and I have to shout out this glorious room. Is that Tom Osborne on Sports Illustrated from
it is,
the 95-96 season?
Oh, yeah.
I was here for that.
Yeah?
So I just have to say, I love being in Nebraska. I love being with you boys.
Yeah.
I met you.
Yep.
And we've hung out several times.
Yeah.
I love you. I think about you often. We're always talking about Nebraska skies and sunsets, and I got to meet you guys today. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Super glad to have you.
Yeah. So, you love Nebraska, like you just touched on.
Yep.
I
want to quickly ask, what's the best and the worst steakhouse? Because we're known for beef.
Yeah.
That you've had here.
So
best and worst.
The worst is the worst thing that has ever happened in Nebraska is Omaha Steaks.
Okay.
It's awful. It's a stain on your steak.
Okay.
Shots fired.
And I'll just say, like, it's good for dogs. Or it's good for vegans who are recovering, who are trying out meat for the first time. And it can easily be wasted.
Okay.
The best I've found so far is the prime beef that comes from Nebraska. But let me be honest with you, very few steakhouses here sell it. One of my issues with Nebraska is you guys haven't figured out how to market your products.
Okay. Our beef.
You have the best farmers.
Yep.
And you can't easily go get Nebraska beef, Nebraska bison, or Nebraska produce anywhere unless you grow it.
Sure.
So I'll just say I'd like to have more Nebraska beef, but where is it?
Where is this? A good question.
It's in the field. I got to go kill it.
Yeah, right.
I got to go kill it.
Yeah, you were talking to me. We did the thing, we were chatting about restaurants to eat at and stuff. And the last time you were here, I recommended a place called Jay Gilbert's that I like. I ate like over.
Here we go, the Jay Gilbert story,
dude. So I ate there like over a year ago for our wedding anniversary, and it was so good. I loved it, and I'm a big beef guy. I love just good, fresh, grass-fed, grass-finished beef and steaks, and they had really quality stuff. So I went. So you went,
and I was so excited. I ordered the New York strip, which is the litmus test.
Yeah,
it's got enough fat and enough meat.
Yeah.
The first one that came out, I ordered it medium well. First one that came out was well done. I could have used it as a brick in a building project to help fix Biden's border problem. We'll get into that later. Second steak came out, and it was completely raw. The third one that came out was just as raw. And I said, hey, with all due respect, I'm really hungry. I want a steak. So I just left. Didn't pay because I didn't have to pay for anything. And I left. And I went over to 801. Best steak I've had in Omaha is at 801 Chop House. Now, it smells like a public restroom when you walk in. Just bad design planning. Let's put the bathrooms by the front door. I'm like, bro, not the smell you want. You want some butter. You want some steak smell. They haven't figured out smells.
Okay.
But once you get past that, past the offense, I think it's kind of like a a cleansing trial by fire. Like if you can make it past that and you get in, and I'm telling you, I went there the last two nights in a row.
Yeah.
And the guy there remembered me from February.
Wow.
Remembered my order and brought me finishing salt without saying a word. He goes, I remember you wanted this in February. I said, I'm in. Michelin star.
Oh,
that's amazing.
My word.
So I announce right now, I give them a Michelin star.
Wow.
Come on, Michelin guy, get to Omaha.
Come on, let's go.
Wow. I need to go there. I'm going to have to.
801 Steakhouse, you said?
Let's go
Chop
together.
House.
Let's
Yeah.
go together.
Chop
Yeah,
House.
let's go together. Yeah.
Never heard of this place. Wow. That's incredible. So you have a long list, although maybe some of it wasn't so accurate, but you have a long list of introductions. Tell us, I just want to know, give us like a brief overview of who you are, what you do, where'd you come from?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a pretty average to below average, just in general human being
Okay.
who happens to know music.
Okay.
I don't know how to read or write it, but I'm like so many people out there now that hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And because of technology at a young age, I mean, we didn't have much money, but at a young age, my grandmother passed a big old computer down to me, the kind with the big old CRT monitor. So this must have been in 01 or 02. And my brother like ripped and pirated a copy of Fruity Loops, which at the time was like, you know, you could just figure out how to make looping sounds without knowing what music was.
Okay.
Clicking the little area.
Yeah,
like,
click
little
dots
circle.
and
Yeah,
lights.
dots.
And I actually found out recently deadmau5 was one of the people who helped code
Oh,
Fruity Loops.
yeah. Wow.
So it's a very intuitive program.
Yeah.
Now, prior to that, I came from farmland. I mean, my parents raised us on a farm about an hour and a half north of here in Lyons, little town of 1,200 people. You know Lyons?
Okay. Lions.
Lyons.
I've heard of it.
So
never been there.
little tiny village, and we were right outside of it. And me and my 4 siblings were raised there for 7 years in the 90s, and they were the best years of my life.
Wow.
The best.
Okay.
I mean, we had no tech, no TV. We were so poor, we were on government food stamps. I thought milk was a powder when I moved to Florida
No kidding.
at the end of the 90s. I thought milk was powdered and you added water to it,
Wow.
which is so stupid because we lived on a farm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I learned how to kill chickens before I ever saw a television.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we'd butcher chickens, we had cattle and you know, not like a ton of land. My dad never farmed the land around there, but like we had 6 acres, you know, learned how to shoot.
Oh, yeah.
And those years were idyllic. They're honestly, they're years that I wish every kid could have because there was no knowledge of what was out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I went to Lyons last winter just to visit the old school I went to. And a kid in there, he goes, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I live in Los Angeles." He goes, "I want to live in LA." I go, "No, dude, you want to live in Lyons?" He goes, "No." He was like defiant about it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he knew already in like first grade
Uh-huh.
what LA was and he wanted to live there.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going like, dude, the gift you have is just being present in your own little world, riding bikes, doing things that boys do, getting scraped up, getting in trouble, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
learning the value of not even knowing that you're learning the value, but learning the value of human connection, how to communicate, and honestly, just getting bored.
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time any of us got bored? So I grew up bored, and as did my siblings, which is why we're all super creative individuals. And I just got to tip my hat to my parents. You know, lost my mom in 2019, but my dad, I talk to him all the time about this. Just thank you for getting us into a place in the U.S. that was that open and that free. And you know, the music stuff came later, but Nebraska
Okay.
was and is my reset place. It's where I go to get quiet. It's where I go to get centered. And I have such profound love and respect for the people of this state. People look at me like I'm crazy when I say, like, where are you going? I'm going to Nebraska. Why? What do you mean, why?
What's there?
Yeah. And what I like is like, there isn't a whole lot going on all the time in the middle of the state. You can drive and not see anybody for hours. I almost fell asleep driving yesterday. So I just pulled the truck over and took a nap. Amen.
Let's go.
So there you go. So that's that. So now the condensed version is now that, you know, now that music is my thing, what I do is I'm an independent artist. I write instrumental music. I've started writing lyrical music on this new album. I occasionally score films, and my music is used in licensing, and then people stream it and listen to it.
Sure.
And I've always been independent. I don't have a label. I don't have a manager. Don't have an assistant. It's just me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do. I've been, I guess I've been at it in a profitable way now for 12 years. And I did it in a broke way for 12 years.
Okay.
So 24
Wow.
years.
Yeah.
It's been my living as long as I've been broke doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've enjoyed both.
Okay.
I've enjoyed both for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, that's really interesting. So you said you had the 12 years of kind of grind to get to the place where you were getting paid. A lot of people think, you can just sit in your basement, produce all this stuff and like magically start making money. Could you just like share a little bit of that backstory? I know we've talked about it before, but I would love to hear more on the love of Fruity Loops and getting into the process of creating finished songs. And then really like the licensing world was really interesting. You kind of were an early adopter into the Musicbed world, and a lot of our listeners and filmmakers really utilize streaming platforms like Musicbed, licensing platforms, to be able to use songs for their films. So I'd love to hear just a little bit of backstory in that first 12 years, kind of fast version, and then into now making a living creating music.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know what film scoring was until I got to college and a roommate gave me Hans Zimmer's CDs.
He's the best, man.
And I was like, whoa, synthesizers and orchestra? Years later, the Tron Legacy soundtrack came out, which I think is the greatest of all time, Daft Punk and Hans. Anyway, I wanted to work for Zimmer. So in like 2008, I went and crashed on my brother's sofa. He was in LA playing French horn, doing his undergrad at Colburn there. And I got a meeting with Hans Zimmer's team.
Wow.
Like 2 a.m. in Santa Monica. Borrowed someone's car, downloaded a map because I didn't have an iPhone, and thought I'd meet Hans, and he had just left. But one of his co-composers showed me around, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, if you want to intern here, you got to send us your CDs." So I mailed my CDs to him, and they never got back, which I was shocked by. I was like, "Hey, at least give me some feedback, negative or positive."
Yeah,
Sure.
So I just kept calling because I would read in books, like, you should be persistent and follow up.
Yeah,
And
for
the
sure.
lady at the front office at his place hated me so much. She goes, if you keep calling, I'm going to blacklist you from this place and you'll never work in this town ever.
Wow.
So I was terrified. And so I wrote his co-composer and was like, dude, it didn't work out. He's like, yeah, your stuff isn't very good, but I can help you. The word, I guess, from Hans's team was like, this stuff is not good. But he said, I could help you get better. So I'd send my stuff to him and he'd help critique it. But it was never a source of money. I mean, 2008, 2009, 2010, I was still broke after college.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started a nonprofit with a buddy. We went and filmed all around the world, humanitarian issues. I'd write music for our documentaries, and that's when the 7D had just come out.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were doing like undercover sex trafficking stuff in Cambodia and Thailand, I could walk in like an idiot tourist, like, oh, I'm in the wrong place. And I'm shooting HD video, recording audio. And we'd give that stuff to the special police over there and plan raids and stuff. And
Wow.
so our nonprofit was called Unearthed. It was focused on digging up human injustice issues.
Yeah.
And we got funding from churches and private individuals. I formed a nonprofit out of it. Actually went through the process of making a 501c3. So I was out of music.
Wow.
Like I had we had free office space donated to us in Lexington, Kentucky. We had a huge network of people around us, volunteers, people praying for us. We had, donations coming in. And I thought I'm going to be the nonprofit guy. Music didn't work.
Sure.
So I'm the nonprofit guy.
Yeah.
So 2012, I'm now crashing on the same brother's sofa. Now he's doing his master's in north of Chicago.
Okay.
And I'm at a conference for the nonprofit, learning about storytelling. And there's a group there licensing music to filmmakers called the Musicbed. And I just remember seeing the name going, that's the dumbest name.
I can't believe
It was
that.
it was the music bed too, yeah.
And I was laughing and I go, did you really name your company? That's like naming a car dealership car or a restaurant food.
Yeah.
Like what? And so I literally was like, and I was broke too, but I was still laughing at the name.
Sure.
Anyway, they're like, yeah, we take music that has already been written and synchronize it with videos. When people say videos, I cringe a little bit, but hey, they said that.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I used to write music. I just signed up for a Dropbox account. I'll send you a link to all this stuff. I said, I've given up on it. I'm done. In fact, earlier that year, I had put a thing on Facebook. Hey, if you're a filmmaker and you want to use my music,
Take it.
use it for free.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't even credit me. And someone had used it that year in a video called Why I Love Jesus But Hate Religion. And at the time, viral was like 27 million views. That's like what a Mr. Beast video gets 10 days before it releases.
Was it Jeff Bethke?
It was,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was.
Jeff Bethke. I call him Jeff Bethgram because he reminds me of Victor Crumb in Harry Potter, but that's another thing. But anyway, you know, I sent them the same link I had posted for free on Facebook, and they offered me a deal.
Wow.
And you know, the easiest way to describe it is if you're gonna make a living in music, you want to own the finished sandwich, which is the master recording. That's the thing completed. But you also want to own the publishing, which is the ingredients of the sandwich. Because if you own the ingredients, you can always make a new sandwich. It's what Taylor Swift is doing. She's re-recording and making new masters, new sandwiches out of the publishing that she owns, which is the ingredients.
Okay.
That deal I signed with Musicbed let me own everything.
Wow.
All they did was take a fee off the top. I didn't even read the thing. I just signed it. And thankfully, they weren't predatory people.
Sure.
You know, they wrote better deals than they knew how to name their own company. So that was good. And I think I was one of the first artists. There were a few before me. And my stuff just took off like wildfire. So imagine a broke kid living in Lexington, running a struggling nonprofit, and his first check the first month is $1,300. The first thing I thought was, I am rich. And I'm going to go lease a Honda Accord.
That's the most Nebraska thing you've ever said.
And my roommates were like, slow down, bro. Don't let materialism grip your heart. Because I was in a super Christian environment. Like, you know, if I ever looked at porn or anything, my buddies would be like, you need to fast about that. You know, like you need to do something to get back with God. So we interacted like God at a distance. You got to convince him to come close, that whole thing. Super messed up. But hey, that's where we were. And there's grace for where we were at that time. And so a couple more months went by and the money just kept consistently showing up. I thought this has got to be a fluke. So I actually checked in with them and was like, hey, are you mixing me up with someone else?
No way.
And they said, no, your stuff just really works. And I'm not kidding when I say within 2 or 3 years, I was consistently one of their top artists on the site. And it got to the point where they used to have a top 10 on Musicbed's site, which it backfired because new artists would just start writing sound-alikes of whatever was on the top 10.
Got it.
And so I would say my sound became synonymous with the Musicbed sound for a while. It's taken me a while to admit that because it sounds egotistical, but that's what happened. And now Musicbed has expanded. They become the #1 licensing agency in the U.S. They're mostly now known for like vocal, lyrical stuff. That's where sync licensing is at now. But what I was able to do was get out of survival mode with that. The first 12 years were me living in survival mode, overdrafting at Backyard Burger because I ordered a 32-cent thing of ranch. So paying $18 in overdraft fees for a 32-cent thing of ranch. My Chevy Blazer door handle getting so cold it just snapped off and I didn't fix it for 3 years. I just used the other door.
Right.
That's normal for me. Powdered milk is normal for Tony Anderson. Okay. Broken door handles and overdrafting on ranch. You know, like I really mean it when I say like I've done the poor version of it and I've done the version with excess and wealth. And I'm the same artist in both. I've made mistakes in both. I've learned a lot from both, but I feel like I'm at the beginning of my career. And if I can be honest, one thing that money can help do if you have the right guidance and counsel around you is get you out of survival mode. And I feel like the journey with Musicbed was a gift from God to get me out of a poverty-stricken way of thinking about the gift I was given and the way I lived my life, and to help get me into an understanding of the gift I'd been given, some space and time to really think and reflect on it and actually start getting wise about what did I want to do with this?
Yeah. Okay. So to this point, how many locations is that for you? Because you mentioned Nebraska, and then where does Florida come in?
Technically, first 4 years of my life before I was really cognizant were in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Nebraska for 7.
Okay.
Back to Florida for 7. Joplin, Missouri for 5 or 6. Lexington, Kentucky for 9, and LA for 5.
Okay. So how soon after that Musicbed interaction did LA come?
So I was, when the Musicbed thing happened, I was kind of in the first few years of my time in Kentucky.
Okay.
You know, and so I actually ended up building a studio in Lexington. But the best thing that happened is my board director of the board, chairman of the board for my nonprofit, came to me and said, "Hey, you're not very good at running a team.
Thanks.
You should maybe think about what you want to do."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, this music thing's been happening." And I said, "And I made $2,000 last month."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Come to me when it reaches $10,000 a month." I said, "I don't think it could ever reach there." And within a few months, it had. And he goes, "All right, come to me after a year of consistently hitting 10K or 20K a month." And I came back a year later and was like, it's much more than that.
Right.
And he was like confused.
Wow.
He's like, "Wait, this is an actual thing that could work." And he went from helping free me from the nonprofit
Wow.
world and getting me into, dude, you have a gift here.
Yeah.
His name's Rick Ifland. He's one of the best. His son Crawford is a good friend of mine too. But Lexington is a wealth of knowledge of very good men with impeccable character and a lot of wisdom and business experience. And they know what it's like to lose a lot of money, and they know what it's like to course correct and be wise.
Wow.
So in those Lexington years, I was learning how to manage. I had a guy come to me. He probably would not like to be named, so I won't name him. And he said, "You are on a course for complete disaster if you don't change the way you're spending money."
Wow.
Like, do you even save? Do you even invest? I was like, "I'm an artist, bro. You want some wine?" Oh, man. And we used to sip bourbon in the studio. It was the most Kentucky thing you could do.
Yeah.
I played an event for Pappy Van Winkle before I knew what they were, and they gave me several bottles of Pappy. They just set it on my piano.
Nice.
I gave them all away, but I kept one.
Wow.
Anyway, we would sip that stuff, and he'd open up his life to me and really encourage me to start thinking about how to really build wealth long term. Do you have an emergency fund? What are your spending habits like? So I gave this guy access to my bank account, my credit card statements,
Wow.
and that was the most painful thing I'd ever done.
Sure.
I tried to break off a friendship with this guy several times.
Sure.
But you know what, man? He really saved my life.
Yeah.
And he ended up officiating our wedding too. He's a dear friend of mine. And you know what, man? God knew I needed a financial advisor to come into my life and interrupt the flow.
Yep.
And I get to be where I'm at today because of other men.
Yeah.
If it were up to me, I would have blown it the way that NBA stars
Yeah.
blow it. You know
For
what
sure.
I mean? So it's not my own doing that has allowed me to be here. But those
Yeah.
Kentucky years were the years of extreme growth financially, and also years where I had time to think about, what do I want to do? And the short story of it is I want to live in a place where I feel there is no creative ceiling. And where I was in Lexington and Nashville, I'd often work in. Not a knock on Nashville, but it's a real criticism. There's a lot of sameness in those cities with the music being written. And I knew if I was going to get better, I had to be around better people, not better quality human beings.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase it. I had to be around better artists.
Yeah. Sure.
Because I level up when I'm forced to level up.
100%.
Right. It's like when I'm in the gym and I see someone doing something and they look really good, I'll go over to the dude and be like, "Bro, your form's impeccable. How'd you learn how to?" I do this every day.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but at the same time, like with artistry, why would it not be the same?
Yep.
And you and I have talked about this. Like, you're in this amazing area. You guys are some of the best, if not the best, at what you do. So if there's never any competition, it's on you to constantly level up.
Raise the bar.
Now, if you can keep doing that, great.
Yeah.
Right.
I was in a place where I needed musicians that were at a certain level to help elevate the songs.
Yeah.
I can't go play violin. I can't go play cello. I can't learn subtractive synthesis I have to be around it,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So I needed community. And every time I'd come out to LA, the music flowed like water. There's something about the energy and the discipline of the musicians. The way I think of it is LA is very synth and string focused. Nashville's very voice and guitar focused.
Yeah.
So if you want to write songs, you go to Nashville. If you just want to get lost in a flow of people who have their own musical identity going on and they're very improvisational and very low maintenance and very non-competitive, you go to LA.
Sure. Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's amazing. Man, that's jam-packed like a 24 years or whatever of life that you'd lived. I really quickly want to back up a little bit. And again, we had met because a gal that we went to church with, Mackenzie Logan, you guys grew up in a similar town or area. And she had at one point had mentioned like something about music and you, and then I was like, we use his music, or
I think didn't we post a video or something?
we
with-
posted a video, and she was like, hey, that's my friend Tony, or we
Yeah.
grew up together. And I was like, what? Like, we love his stuff. Like, it's so inspirational. We listen to it and just like visions and like movies would play in our minds. And so I'd love even for Austin, just to you guys to kind of catch up on that like story of like the first film that Austin and I ever have created together. And the reason why we're sitting here in this room today is because of the song Butterflies.
Yep.
And you produced that song, and it literally changed our just whole life. And so I would love for Austin to share a little bit about that and glean from just the amazing journey that's been.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget the night that we shot that video. We talk about it often. Just that was the first project we'd ever worked on together. We went downtown, had like an hour to scrap together something for a church promo that was going to be played like the next day or a day after that. Shot a bunch of stuff, went and like broke some rules, got on top of a building downtown that we weren't supposed to be on. And
This was here in Omaha.
this was here in Omaha. Yep. And we got back and we were just putting together the edit. And I just remember leaving that night so inspired. And that was Butterflies that we used.
Which version was it?
It was a
Can I
remix.
play a segment on my iPhone?
Yeah,
was,
for
it, was it the Snowfall? The piano one?
No, it had some
like the-
synth in it.
Oh,
It was
Nighthawk.
Nighthawk.
Nighthawk,
That's
that's
the one.
exactly
No
what it was.
way.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
the Nighthawk remix?
Yes.
I had so much fun doing that, and
Oh.
no one cared except us
Except
in this
us.
room.
Yes.
Oh, that
Wow.
is so cool.
Yeah. So it was cool because it was really the first time him and I like put our creative minds together. We had helped plan a church, so there was nobody with cameras, creating images for the screens for TV or for Sunday morning. I say TV, but like the LED screen or whatever projector that we had. And so we're like, man, like we can, figure it out and we can help out our church. Let's make something. And so we literally shot a bunch of 60 frame footage of us like walking and running, and we got a drone shot with my Phantom 3 Pro,
Yeah, it
Phantom,
sucked.
Yeah, crappy drone footage. But it was really cool. Like we put this all together and we used this song and we like were just so inspired. And then we had this voiceover of this really like just deep, just passionate voice and
The church.
the bride of Christ. And it was just so epic. And the pairing between the music and the audio from the vocal and then the visuals, it was just like this beautiful thing. And it was like, oh my gosh, we could do this for the rest of our lives.
Really?
We were just like high. It was like 11,
Whoa.
12 a.m.
So that must have been 2017, 2018?
Yep. It would have been 2017 because that's when our church launched. Was September.
It was the
Wow.
second sermon series ever. It was called
That's so cool,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, it was sick.
That's
And-
amazing.
Yeah,
So that
and-
song connected us. And of course, shout out to Mackenzie.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
she hit me up and she goes, last May when I was at a wedding,
Yep.
friend's wedding.
Yep.
She goes, if you're going to Omaha, you got to hit up Darren. I was like, why have I heard these guys' names? You had either tagged me in something or
Yep.
messaged me.
I think we
Yep.
DM'd you maybe a couple
And
times.
so I just DM'd you on Instagram.
Yep.
Greatest website in the world, worst website in the world.
Yeah,
Thanks.
right.
Thanks,
Facts.
Mark Zuckercorn. and you remember when Instagram was cool? And
Yes.
and then we hung out, and I was like, "This is great," because then Nebraska started feeling less like a place and more like people again.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
shout out
That's really great.
to you guys.
Yeah. So it's awesome. Again, now 6 years later, or just over 6 years, we're a full-fledged film production company. And really,
Can I
we
just
could-
say too? I got to tour their offices, and they're amazing. I still technically live in poverty, and then I come in here and they have this 90s nostalgia room, state of the art gym, cold water, air conditioning. There are no helicopters or crime happening directly outside.
That's
yeah,
true.
there you go.
I
Plus.
mean, so props to you guys. This place is actually extraordinary. Super clean too.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'm kind of OCD a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll donate a Dyson with the laser if you ever need it.
Ooh,
Dude,
with a
I
laser
will-
beam.
I will for sure take that.
Yes. Oh, and a cassette tape because you guys can't see this on camera, but they have a
Oh, yeah, you can.
phenomenal.
You flip to the
Oh,
wide.
there we go. They have a phenomenal cassette player,
Yeah, it's Emerson.
and Darren, you played me your band recording on
Yep.
cassette.
When I
So
was like-
the next album is coming out on cassette. So I'll send you like a dozen
Sick.
of them.
Yes.
And I'm figuring out how to design the J cards, which are the cards that go inside
Yes.
and you pull them,
Yep.
unfold them.
I
and
know exactly.
I want photos of Nebraska. in there.
Yes.
So I'll send you several when I'm
That'll
done.
be amazing.
And I want to get 3D flash drives printed in the shape of Nebraska
yeah.
that have
yeah.
the lossless files on them. So when you buy a cassette,
Whoa.
you get the Nebraska flash drive with the full quality files on it too.
I love it.
So let me
That's
know if you
amazing.
find a 3D. Anyway, we can talk about it later.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, we know a guy.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, no, something that I wanted to touch on, and you were talking about being around people that help elevate you, help kind of expand your mind and your quality of work that comes out of you when you put yourself around those people. And I remember sitting down with you for the first time at Archetype Coffee last year, sometime maybe in the beginning of the year. I think it was cold. But yeah, I remember sitting down with you and we, exchanged like stories and stuff like that. And I just remembered like leaving that conversation. I was telling Austin and my wife and maybe Trev when you were around, but that when I left that conversation, I felt elevated. Like I felt being around you, you helped me kind of see things a little bit bigger. And you spoke a lot of encouragement and wisdom and guidance. And I came back and I instilled that back into our team here. I remember a Monday morning meeting that I was like talking about it and really, really inspired. And so it's really cool that you had all these amazing mentors and men in your life that have spoke and raised you to higher levels. And now it seems to me that you're doing that and giving that back. And you've impacted me in a massive way. And so I'm super grateful for that because I know we voice message each other and we text and stuff, but like you're a friend, and it's really, really encouraging for me to have someone in your caliber, your mind, where you're at in life, to be able to notice kind of what us little Nebraska film company is doing, and it's a huge blessing. So really, really appreciate you for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know what to say. First of all, you guys are not a little Nebraska film company. Your work is extraordinary.
Thanks, man.
And look, I've actually thought about this. One of the lost arts is men initiating with other men to just simply be present and impart. If a guy's open to learning, just give yourself, just give your life, open your life. Weakness is the way. So leading with vulnerability, not leading with strength and accomplishment and accolade. You check someone's Spotify bio or how they present themselves, and if they're talking about how many awards they've won, and how well things are going, wow, I can't really connect to that. At a biblical level, it was actually one of the reasons I've always had a hard time connecting to Jesus, because he didn't screw up. Wow. He didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
But King David was a catastrophe. Yeah. And I'm like, that's my dude.
Yeah.
That's my guy. I understand that. The dude was an addict.
Yeah.
I'm an addict. So I get it. And I understand the mood swings. I understand the emotional distress. Most of us do. And so to me, I guess it's something about how the men in my life approached me and chose to open their lives up to me. Yeah. It was never with how well things were going. And it was never with an encouragement to be morally better. Yeah. It was really to be a man of integrity, to be more honest. And the only time I ever got challenged is if I got overly religious or overly moralistic in comparing myself to somebody else. Wow. And that's the only time I'd get called on stuff. Is like, hey, use human words instead of spiritual words. Because if you use spiritual words, I don't know what you're saying.
Sure.
And that allows us to hide. Oh man, I went through a dark time. Say that again in a way a kid could understand.
Right.
Right? Like be more specific. Because the beauty is in the details, right? That's where we really get to know who someone is. And then second, lead in some way with a real piece of your heart out in the open, because this is what we all need. That's what's going to save the world is real true human connection and honesty. So it's still a struggle for me, but at the same time, I feel like you stay in that boot camp long enough, it's who you become. It's clearly who you guys are, and I want to be an artist, but that's not who I am in totality. I don't go around humming melodies and thinking about my my next great masterpiece. Sure. I get some music done during the day, but my real work is trying to be dialed in with my wife, right? Once we have kids down the line, I hope we do, trying to be dialed in there. And then I've got headspace for a few friends throughout the week, but I can't focus on a whole lot else beyond that. Sure. Like the reality of my world is realize I'm 38 now, how little I actually have to give. Wow. And how small the capacity is. And so it just requires an intense level of focus. And when I look back at, the last 10 years, I'm like, where'd they go? And I know when 48 comes around and 58, I'm going to be saying the same thing.
Sure.
So, I'm trying to set a precedent in my own life to continue doing music in a healthy way. I don't want to burn out. I don't want to get overextended. Yeah. And I also don't want to personally bankrupt my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are opportunities everywhere to do that. And I'm enjoying so much what I get to do. It's not that I don't want to mess it up. It's that I want to enhance and deepen the clarity of what I've got going on. Does that make sense? Yeah, totally. I feel like I'm in a flow right now.
Yeah.
I'm grateful every day for my health. The fact that my back is working better. I used to herniate discs all the time. And I love that I've got headspace. I got friends who are in the film scoring world, for example. They're in windowless rooms all day, making a really low salary. They don't own the sandwich, so to speak, with master and publishing. And they might have a great IMDb role. And then I'm over here, like I'm realizing now my real wealth is in time.
Yeah.
So the term Rick Iflin got me on was I'm a time millionaire.
Okay.
Like I have unbelievable amounts of margin in my life.
Yeah.
And I didn't set out one day to go, I want a ton of margin, but like, dude, I'm just like one of my things this year was I'm not scheduling phone calls.
Okay.
And I'm not scheduling meetings unless they're like the day before or day of. And I know for us, it was different. We have to plan when we're coming out here.
Sure. Right.
Dude, the amount of presence you get in your life when you do that is absurd.
Wow.
No one wants to talk on the phone.
Right.
Nobody. And especially scheduling it. That's like saying you want pizza next Thursday.
Really?
No, you don't. You either want it now or you don't.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy to me. And I'm like, why is everyone around here scheduling stuff all the time? Or like right when you leave a meeting, let's do this again. Why? We just did it. Was it not enough? Did you not get enough protein at your meal? Eat a real steak, vegan. So anyway, I'm trying to do little things every day. And LA's a fun place to do it because there are people that have it dialed in that I meet sometimes that I go, that's it. That's what I want. And guess what? They're more fearless in their creativity. And I'm in my head compared to them, meaning that's healthy comparison in a way. Oh, I don't have to get in my head and analyze everything all the time. Watching some of these people that come over and play my own piano and go, you just blessed my piano. I've been holding that thing captive like a little tiger. You just let it out of the cage. Like, thank you for blessing my instrument. Thank you for teaching me how that thing should actually be played, right?
Wow.
So I guess that's more what I'm looking at is I'm going, I want to be around people who are not operating on a frequency of scarcity and fear. Now, I'm always going to run into them, but do I have to keep running into them? It's my call. I want to run into people. I want to run into people and build with people who have a wider, much more open view of the world and what their gift is, right? And so I'm not saying I don't have time or patience for the parts of me or the people I know that are on a different wavelength, but I just want to build my tribe differently. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Is it, I guess as you're saying that in my head, I'm thinking, is this the opposite of what I would think of with people in LA? Like as you're talking, I'm thinking about, well, are you in, and I don't have a lot of experience with LA, so it's really speculation, but you talk about kind of the balance in your life, and you do music, but it's not your identity. But in my head, I'm thinking, well, isn't LA just a place with people just hyper obsessed about who they think they are?
That's a good observation. And look, you've lived there.
Yeah.
You know LA.
Yeah.
I mean, you know this, like there are different versions of Omaha. There are different versions of LA. What I've noticed is people in LA tend to be afraid politically. They walk around terrified, and I'm not going to get hyper specific, but you can guess which end of the political spectrum. It begins with L and ends with Iberl. You can guess which end of the spectrum they land on. And their fear is more driven by them watching the news and getting freaked out. And if you live there, you can't make good art. I've also met conservatives who are terrified. And they think a food shortage is coming and the next tsunami of blah, blah. And they can't create art from that place. Artists, Nashville, LA, wherever, who are terrified of AI cannot create good art if you're terrified of AI. Wow. Because fear will kill and sap that beautiful little seed that just bloomed.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed is I think I've intentionally steered away from people who operate that way or who are a slave to their work. And I've intentionally gravitated towards people who cook real food and eat it, right?
Amen.
And then second, who prioritize relationship over craft. So I'm not often talking at meals about what I do.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's an opportunity to laugh, open a release valve and chill. Yeah. Most of our friends are actually like chefs or they run restaurants.
Oh, great.
So I think like our mode and our version of LA is a little different. Now I will say there is that version that's kind of scarcity based, but to give LA a little credit here, because even though I'm very critical of the place I live, and I feel like 5 years you can start owning that and it's okay. It is so expensive to live there. You have to be good at what you're doing to stay there. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Nashville's getting to the same place, but frankly, like I talked to somebody yesterday who bought their house for $30,000 in 1989.
Wow.
30 grand. And they go, why don't you own a house? And I just wanted to burn their house down.
Just for asking that.
So I guess what I'm getting at is like, you have to be dialed in to some extent. Yeah. And if you're dialed in, you're not living in fear, right? It is possible, I suppose, to let some of it come along. But, some of these people, when they have a huge miss financially investing or creatively, they have figured out how to regulate and recalibrate and get up and go. That's the muscle I want to learn from. I had an album I did a couple years ago for the 9/11 memorial. I put a year into it. It was the worst performing thing I'd ever done, ever. And I mean, like my fans didn't care about it. My listeners didn't care. Then the 9/11 memorial CEO resigned and a new one came in. She like retired, a new one came in.
Okay.
And they just scrapped the whole thing. And I'm sitting here going, there goes a year. And I had to just, I gave myself one day to have a pity party and go, that project was for me. Yeah. Debris, the album, that was for me.
Yeah.
I got to learn from this and eat some humble pie here that my listeners don't care about what's important to me all the time. They don't. So that was about me and self-expression. Wow. But if I want to get into building a library and a kind of a sound, I've got to honor the very natural stuff that's coming out of me. Sometimes I view it as like, I don't know if you guys feel like this in film. Oh, that fruit is too low hanging. I shouldn't do that. It's too easy. It's too simple. Who's doing the easy, simple thing? Not easy. Let me rephrase it. Who's doing the simple thing? Yeah. Like nobody. Yeah. I don't understand half the ads that I watch these days. I don't like 90% of the food I eat because the proportions are off. I'm just like, dude, where's the intuition and the simplicity?
Sure.
So Debris was the opposite of that, the 9/11 album. I'm kind of learning to dial it back in and rein it back in and go, the gift I have is doing simple things well. And if people look down on it, that's okay. But Debris, I got off track and I got really artistic and, creative and innovative. Yeah, like 3 people care about that, right?
Hey, we watched the film.
Oh, the doc?
Yeah.
That was the good part of Debris.
I really loved it.
Yeah, it was sick.
That was the good part of Debris.
Yeah, I was like, if you shot all this is, I mean, other than the actual footage of the day of 9/11, but all the footage is great.
It was worth it for the doc. Yeah. But if it would have just been the album, Sure. So long story short, it's like, okay, I got to learn how to regulate and move on and not dwell on this.
Yeah.
I cannot afford a pity party. And then, so I'll leave it there. But like that, I guess what I'm getting at there is I want the world to constantly feel like a bigger place. And I want there to constantly feel like there's room for growth and improvement in my sound, a way to improve and get better while also being me. And I want to build a tribe that's along that frequency. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. I kind of want to switch gears a little bit. I just want to know, like, is there any like crazy LA stories? I know I was only there for only about a year and I have about 1,000 of them. One of them, me practically wanting to die and legit almost overdosing on many drugs and alcohol. And I was in a very dark and really sketchy space in my life. But I would love to know like any of the crazy connections or people that you met, or I know you have like a wild synth collection and people have reached out to you and talked about like your different stuff like that. So I don't know if you have any like crazy wild, like if we were a fly on the wall, this is like the most bizarre LA thing. Does anything come to mind?
One thing that comes to mind is I was checking my email one day and an email came in. Hi, this is JJ Abrams. I found your stuff on Spotify. Let's talk about scoring opportunities. To which I replied, I don't believe this is J.J. Abrams.
Hey, nice.
And he said, oh, it's real. So he calls me and we found out he's a huge synth nerd. And I said, look, I'll be honest. I don't really want to score films because I said, hey, I'm being honest. You got John Williams in your pocket, bro.
Sure.
I'm not going to, if I work on a project of yours, I'm not going to be talking to you every day. I go, but do you want to be synth nerd friends? He's like 100%. So he said, I'm shooting a show called Duster. You want to come out and be on set in Tucson? So immediately he was really open, really warm, really kind. And he goes, I want the exact same piano that you have. So I got him set up.
Wow.
I gave him a list of mics to order. He bought all of them.
Wow.
And I got to go over and meet some of Taylor Swift's team was over there, and they helped me get his piano dialed in and just met so many cool people through that experience. So he's a great dude. He's a family man. And yeah, so we don't work together. We're just buddies. And he calls me a friend, which is psycho. I went to Dave Smith's. Dave Smith invented the Prophet synthesizer, which is, it's a nerd thing, but it's best synth of all time.
Yeah.
And when Dave died, I got to go to the memorial, and JJ kind of gave a speech there, and he introduced me to people as his friend, and I just about died.
That's amazing.
sick.
That's so sick.
It's fun.
Yeah.
He kind of started showing me the ropes in terms of here's how to email people, here's how to manage time, here's how to say no in a really encouraging way.
Yeah.
So he's the master of how to say no.
Yeah.
That which is the hardest thing in the world and the most necessary thing.
Yeah,
how to
sure.
say no
Yeah.
to people that you know and love,
Right.
without it becoming emotional.
Yeah.
So that was a fun one. We've had a fair amount of shootings on our street. Recently, a guy walked into a cafe on our block and tried to hold it up. Everyone in the cafe was so bored with this that they didn't pay the gunman any attention. And that drove him
No
crazy
way.
because he thought walking in there with a gun and asking for money out of a cash register, which I'm like, bro, when's the last time you saw a cash register?
Right.
It's right next to the payphone outside, idiot.
Right.
So he goes outside and puts a woman who's eating her beautiful breakfast, puts a gun to her head. Mexican construction workers across the street are not okay with this. And they yell at this guy, you let her go. Gunman fires at the Mexican construction workers and misses. One of the construction workers is packing
Shouts out.
and literally just goes chest and head, kills the gunman right there. 2 shots,
Dang.
drops him. And the cops came and they were dealing with it, and the news was outside, and they're just like, yeah, we don't think they're going to give us a statement. I said, why? They said, because it doesn't fit the mainstream narrative on guns.
Yeah.
Literal words out of their mouth.
Wow.
Did not even make the news. Like 2 nights
Wow.
later, the same group of helicopters was back so low that I could feel the wind off the rotors. So I'm just out there with my Zalto burgundy stem swirling some, some burgundy, because I'm like, why are you guys in our neighborhood again? And they're like,
Right.
oh, we got a kidnapping suspect tonight. I'm like, where? He's like, he's at the cafe, because I guess even kidnappers have to eat. It's very, very
Wow.
demanding work.
Wow.
And so I'm kind of over that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, my wife has to walk with pepper spray. I'm going to get a Glock 9 soon.
Yeah.
I just
There
had
you
a
go.
buddy that
Yep.
was pistol whipped last week.
No
So
kidding.
someone tried to break into his house. And so, that part of LA is hard for me.
Yeah.
There seems to be waves of evil and human corruption that flow through LA. Other times it goes away and it's fine. And then you have a JJ thing happen and you're like, was that even real?
Is this real life? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go on with your normal life, and it's fascinating because it's both extremes,
Yeah.
and it is extremely overstimulating. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's extreme.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I come here,
Right. Yeah.
because it helps. I'm not kidding. It helps level me out,
Yeah.
but it's bringing me back into some ways into survival mode. So I've worked hard to get out of survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
Now the place I live is not just one of the most expensive cities in the world,
Yeah.
which makes it very hard to save to buy a home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on edge
Yeah.
a lot,
Yeah.
right? And this is where, when I talk to my Nashville friends, I get it. So again, that was not an unnecessary knock on Lexington or Nashville.
Right.
You got safety, bro. Your kids can go out and play in
Yeah.
the streets.
Yeah.
You know, I'm literally going to have to put like a Claymore mine on my child if one of these psychos gets near him.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just out on a walk the other night. Some dude blows through our neighborhood 90 miles an hour in a Suburban. No cops are even chasing him. Just 90 miles an hour blowing stop signs.
Wow.
And stuff like that, dude. I don't want to raise a family there.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
So Tony Anderson will be moving back to Nebraska in 20.
Breaking news.
No. Do you ever? I mean, I guess you've talked to me a little bit about that. You know, you want to start a family.
I want a second home here.
Yeah,
Second home.
for sure.
How
I want a
often do you
second
come
home
back?
here. Right now, I'm once a quarter. But, you know, I'm bringing Brooke, my wife, next month, end of next month, early July.
Awesome.
And Brookie, don't listen to this. The hope is to sell it to her in a way that doesn't feel like I'm selling it to her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She's got to see this part of the country. Still, she grew up in Minnesota, but she's got to see this part of the country in the lush summer,
Mm.
Has she never been?
height of summer. Never been in Nebraska.
Wow.
So she's going to
Listen
come out
out.
here with me, and I'm going to take her on a little tour. I'm praying for good sunsets,
Yeah.
Mhm.
casual meetups. Oh, look.
Oh, weird.
You can park here for free.
Oh, look at that.
Look. Oh, beef.
Have you noticed
She loves protein.
we haven't
I
heard
love-
sirens in a while?
Find yourself a woman that loves protein.
Yeah.
Amen.
Good word.
Amen. That's
So
a great word.
That'll be end of June, early July. But bro, I seriously love this place, man. The quality of life here and the chill that people have here. I'm the one getting honked at here. People are like, you need to slow down.
Right.
Okay. And I'm like, all right, you're right.
All right.
Sorry.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's so good.
So those are some LA stories. You know, I have maybe a few more down the line, but those ones stick out.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great time to get into encouragement time.
Yeah.
Hit it. Isn't that just beautiful?
Who did that?
So we found a guy on
Fiverr.
and I literally took the 2.5 Men intro, the men,
Yeah.
manly,
Yeah.
men. And I sent that and I was like, bro, we need an encouragement time that kind of resembles this vibe. And he came back with this and I was like, bro, you crushed it.
I'm going to make you one that has reverb on it.
Okay.
So just so you know.
Just
No,
so we know that's
Honestly,
coming.
but this is the part of the
Let's
pod
reverb it.
where we encourage our listeners. And today, Tony, if you have a moment to encourage, what would you like to say to our listeners?
Man, if you're a filmmaker, the first thing I'd encourage you with is you do not need to be making stuff that looks like the stuff around you. It doesn't need to be cutting edge, doesn't need to be innovative. It just needs to be clear. I'd say optimize for clarity. So my friend Aiden always tells me, optimize for clarity and you will go far. And if you do it in community, you'll go even farther. If you're an artist making music, I got to tell you, you are at the best era in human existence for making music. And I want you to block the noise out, get off social media, and spend many, many years working another job, making music for fun, finding your voice. And if you can do that and be disciplined and take the time and intensity to find your voice, you will also go far. But I want artists to understand that blocking out the noise is actually the key to finding your voice in both industries, whether it's visual or audible. It's blocking it out and leaving yourself time to develop something. I think we've gotten conditioned to this bizarre idea that you plant a vine in the ground and you make wine the next year.
Mm,
That's not how it works.
right.
And we have forgotten the art of time, the art of getting bored, the art of getting things wrong. And my suggestion would be in music, though it's a little different, that it is everywhere. I think last time I checked, there's like 100,000 songs a day coming out.
Wow.
If you can find your voice, though, you can do what I'm doing and even more of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So best time possible, just block out the noise on both. The noise is what fuels fear. It's what fuels comparison.
Yeah.
And I know out of everybody I know, less than 1% of people are actually doing it. A lot of people say they are,
Yeah.
but the difference maker is how committed you are and how disciplined you can be to actually fight for headspace for your own soul.
Wow.
Wow.
It's really good.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
I feel
All right,
so
there you have it.
encouraged this entire episode.
Yeah.
Like, how could you choose one thing from Tony to be encouraged by?
Pick them all.
Pick them all.
Let's keep going. We don't have to shut this down.
Yeah, no. And so I kind of want to shift gears a little bit too into a segment called Project Highlight. And you're obviously working on music right now, called Nera, right? A whole album. You just talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be on cassette, vinyl. I mean, MP3 players, first gen iPad.
Let's get
iPods.
back to Winamp. MP3s, yeah, bro.
Or like Kazaa and
Kazaa.
like Bearshare.
It'll be on Kazaa. There you
And
go.
what was LimeWire?
Oh yeah.
Oh, LimeWire.
Do you guys know
I
what those are?
recognize that.
Okay.
I recognize
I'll say
LimeWire.
me and Tony are a little bit older than
It won't
you
be
guys,
on
so-
floppy disk, but close.
Okay.
Bro, you can fit like a song and a half on a floppy disk.
Yeah.
Or about two, maybe.
That's those
depending.
like square things
Yeah,
looking like a
plastic
CD
ones.
in the middle.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Someone flash a little image of it on the screen.
Yeah. But yeah, so you're working on an album,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
said you've been coming to Nebraska to get video, to get photo, to get film photography, to kind of make this lookbook kind of deal.
Yeah.
Just explain like the process of this album, when it's coming out, what to expect. I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, this is music for Nebraska by a fellow Nebraskan.
Let's go.
And I was disappointed when I found out there's this artist named Bruce Springsteen. For those of you who don't know who he is, he's an old guy.
Oh.
And I don't love a lot of his music, but he made an album called Nebraska. And I remember listening to it going, I wish this had something to do with Nebraska.
Yeah.
Right.
It does not. It's mostly trash. I'll be honest.
Sure.
I'm like, what? You call it this sacred name?
Right.
You fool. I mean, I love some of his music for sure. He's the GOAT. But anyway, so 4 years ago, I was passing through and I thought, I'm going to check in on my old home. I'd been having dreams about it. I was terrified to go back. And I'd heard it was abandoned.
Wow.
Because when we left in 97, I think someone had it for a few years and then it just lapsed. Bank owned it. And I stopped by, bro, and it was truly abandoned.
Wow.
Like time had consumed this thing. And I naturally tried the doors so they didn't work. And so praise God, I threw a cinder block through the back door.
There we go.
And, and got in. And, bro, it was a time capsule.
Wow.
The layout was the same.
Yeah.
The wallpaper was the same. Kitchen. I mean, this place was unchanged. And I was like in a trance. Like I could not process time and space because best years of my life growing up there and having just lost my mom 2 years prior at that time, being in the places she was at where so many good things happened, because in your childhood, I know a lot of us have had trauma and stuff go wrong. But if you can reach back for some of those formative moments of connection,
Yeah.
that, the 4 S's are seen, soothed, safe, and secure. And if a kid has those 4 S's, he's set for life or she is set for life.
Yeah.
And if you don't have them, there's the process of regaining that through our adulthood. That's why we act out in different ways. And all 4 S's were fully present at that house.
Yeah.
And I got to go back and there was mourning and sadness because of the loss of our matriarch in our family and the comfort that came with that. But also there's a piano leaning up against the front porch, just rotting. And I'm like, how did this get here? Was this ours? Did we leave it? Because I'm like, surely, I think we did leave a huge piano. I don't remember, but I sampled it, took photos, took a ton of sound recordings, and it changed my life. I drove home to LA from Nebraska because I was on a road trip and immediately started writing. And I've been writing now for the last 3 years, and it's like 2 albums worth of music.
Did you write Ariana shortly after that?
Ariana was written the year I lost my mom,
Okay.
and came out at the end of 2019, early 2020. And that I'm glad you mentioned that because that song I wrote about her and for her
Yeah.
kind of found its way to a lot of people who had lost parents that died of cancer or they just lost their parent really tragically. The energy in that song was there. I feel like it was a true gift. I don't know how like death and the soul works afterward, but if there was ever a gift from my mom that felt unforced, I didn't even mix that song. I just got in Logic, hit export. It'd be like you not color grading
No
something
kidding.
or really even taking care of your transitions or fades. Yeah, I just went, boom, done. And when I came back and recorded the piano on the porch and struck a few notes, they were in the same key as Ariana. And since I don't know music, it took me like a month to figure that out.
Sure.
And so the thought was album number 1 is just all a riff off of Ariana. It is the same chords, but I want to make it simple and good and comforting. And so this music has taken on a life of its own. And I switched it up. I'm like, I'm not going to do like a few singles then an album because we all think in terms of songs now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go a song a month for like forever and see how my listening base responds to it.
Yeah.
And if they don't, and again, if I'm making the debris mistake that this is about me,
For sure.
I'm in the service industry. There's no bones about that. I am not I call myself an artist. I'm in the service industry.
Yeah.
My job is to serve the listener with something that helps unlock something in them.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Wow.
So I got to be attentive to that. So one song at a time, I'm just kind of lobbing things out there going, what sticks,
Sure.
what doesn't. And so I've become more dialed into what the album's about the further I've gone along, and also more clear on what it's not. And so as I've started to wrap album 1, which will probably come out this fall, I don't want to put a hard release date on it, but probably come out this fall. Album 2 is like lyrical now. Like I'm singing, which is terrifying.
Let's go.
Amen.
It's sick, dude. I love it.
Dude, but I heard
What'd you put out? Meadows? Or no, what'd you?
Fields of Green. But
Fields of Green.
But I want to play you Apparition. I'll give you the demo today.
Sick.
I wrote Apparition, and it's definitely me singing. It's not like tucked down in there.
Ooh.
It's like it's there.
Let's go.
And Apparition is the same melody of Ariana, but changed in keys. Again, it took me another month to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
But man, it flowed like water. I was at the piano one day setting up some new mics. Thank God the piano had just been tuned, and boom, Apparition came out that day.
Wow.
I sang into one of the mics that was facing the piano
Wow.
the wrong way and just used that take.
Sick.
That is fascinating.
And it was done. And my wife is the litmus test. I don't know if y'all have people in your life like this.
Yep.
You play something, and if she's vibing with it, you know it's good.
Oh,
yeah.
But when you change it, they're like, "Why'd you change that?"
Yep.
Or I like the other version. The worst thing you can hear.
Oh.
I like the rough draft.
Yeah.
I like that first edit.
First one.
Let me just shoot my kneecaps out.
Yeah. Right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I told her multiple times, I'm never playing you a demo again. And I still do.
Yeah. Sure.
My favorite moments, she comes in at night sometimes because she goes to bed early. I go to bed late. And I've always got, she has time alone in the morning where she's on her own reading and writing and, you know, being herself, and she's amazing. And then I have that time at night.
Yeah.
And my favorite times are when she comes in her bathrobe and she just sits in the studio with me. And I'm like, wow, I really got to dial it up, man. I got to impress my wife,
Yeah.
you know, and not really like that.
Right.
But I want her to connect with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I know she's so locked in that if she's resonating with it, oftentimes I don't need to like overthink it and mix it. And isn't that true in creative spaces, that if we just hear one word of affirmation or encouragement on the line we're on, it sets us free. But if we're alone for too long and we're left alone at the computer, like watching the same thing over and over again, and we lose context,
Oh yeah.
you know? So this album really has been a gift to me, because I would have never thought to sing, but I had to, because there are places you're limited in with the instruments. And there's some things I wanted to say that I realized it's the first time in my life that the instrument was not enough to say it.
Wow. That's really good.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's so great. And just to go back to Ariana, which is a little bit, again, probably how many years ago? 3, 4, 5 years ago. Okay. But I remember we were sitting in our old HQ office, and you had just dropped Ariana, and we listened to it. And I think we both just like looked at each other and teared up, and we were just like, we could like feel it. And I think the first time I talked to you, I was like, when I heard that song, I could like feel your mom's presence. Like I could see in like the picture that you guys use where you're a little kid and your mom
on the farm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, because you encapsulated this feeling of this home and the feeling that you had when you were a child, and the connection and the comfort with your mom, and oh my gosh, the joy and just everything. And we actually ended up using that song in our old friend and creative pastor's wedding film.
Oh man.
And
they walked down to it.
And they walked
During your wedding.
So in San Diego on Sunset Cliffs, we're playing over the PA, over the sunset, cliffs, ocean waves, and Ariana playing, bro.
Stop.
I can't. Like it was,
dude, I can't.
Yeah, it was like one of the most. I have so many goosebumps right now. But I have this. It was such a beautiful song.
I mean, do you ever make something that it just happens?
Yeah. For sure.
You're not in your head.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Oh man, it's the best.
That feeling was that song. And that like really never happens.
Oh, I love it.
Apparition was that way. And so that's why I can't wait to play Apparition.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa, here it is again. But also, like, if you're ripping yourself off, I guess it's okay.
Yeah.
To kind of do, and it's not the same. It's similar. But man, like, it just happened. I'm like, why do these things only happen every 5 years?
Right. I could use more of these.
And man, it to me, when those things show up, I know I gotta roll with them. Yeah. And look, if I had a full album scheduled, like, dude, I don't know if y'all know about this, but in music now, all these crazy people you do business with, and I love them, they want you to get on schedules, planning stuff out a year in advance.
Oh, sure.
I'm like, you're psycho, man.
Yeah, that's not how this works.
You ever talk to farmers or human beings? And now the ones that make music themselves, they get it.
Sure.
And you know, the best people I get to work with oftentimes, if it's not my licensing people, it's my distributors for my music called Symphonic, and they sort of take the softball and lob it over the wall to the Spotifys and Apple Musics of the world, and they really help me try to get it out there.
Yeah.
And Symphonic is amazing. Shout out to Symphonic, love you guys. And and you know, I talked to Mel, my rep over there, and I said, Mel, I got to get back to making music the way we have, like, for a long time, which is when it's done, it goes out.
Yeah.
I don't want this sitting in someone's hard drive for 6 weeks while you guys try to pitch it to Spotify's people. Yeah. Like, they don't know who I am. They don't care.
Yeah.
Why don't we just put this out?
Yep.
Like when you cook a steak, you let it rest a little bit, and then you cut that sucker open.
And then you start eating.
Throw a little butter on top of there. And
there you go.
Some salt. Hoo-wee.
You don't want it too hot.
Yeah.
Because then the juices flow everywhere.
Yeah.
And you don't want it too cold.
Yeah.
Where it's sat too long. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, cook the steak and serve it to somebody.
Yeah.
And the greatest gift of Niobrara, this first album to me, which is just, it's a Ponca Indian word that means running water. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Running water or flat water or moving water. And I met with the Ponca tribe. They're amazing. They
Sick.
gave me a bag of heirloom corn, Nebraska corn.
No way.
That they've been holding on to for like centuries, like this varietal.
What?
Protecting. And they're like, oh yeah, this is unmodified.
Is it the purple kind?
This kind is a mixture of deep red and amber.
Nice.
Wow. And they said you have to plant it with the three sisters. You have to plant it with a bean, like a type of bean, and then I think like a type of wheat or something like that.
Wow.
And if you do the three together, the pest control takes care of itself.
Wow.
And the soil is healthier. So they said if you want to fix corrupt California soil, then plant this corn there. I said, California doesn't deserve your corn. No, I'm kidding. We got farmer friends in Cali who are in God's country, but like I would never put it in LA.
Yeah.
We got a lot of clay. Clay just holds on to moisture.
Yeah.
So long story short, Niobrara, running water, it's more of an image because my parents used to take us there growing up, but it's more of an image and it's a Nebraska term. And man, it's the gift has been being able to catch and release. And if our work was more like that, you breathe in, you take what you can from it, and you expel and you release. I think we would be healthier because we would not necessarily be overworking or doing too much, but we wouldn't have time to overthink everything in our capacity.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we've all had projects where you overthink every last detail and then nobody cares.
For sure.
And we have to have that happen because if everybody cared at the level we did, we would think we'd be rewarded for all those little tricks we did or all the time we took cutting that and redoing that. And I got to be done with that. One of the ways I've grown is actually watching artist friends of mine not do what I do. And they actually, you know, I had a year where I only released like one song.
Wow.
And I was like creatively so blocked up. And
same,
so
because you didn't release music to inspire me to then create.
So it really, the Nebraska music, man, I hope it's a gift. And, you know, maybe, you know, my hope is partially I want people to know about Nebraska, but also I don't want them to know about Nebraska.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I know you're Iowa, right?
Yep.
So, and Iowans feel more passionate about Iowa than Nebraskans do.
Sure.
I forget what they called Nebraska, like a rip-off version of Iowa or something
I
like
never heard that.
I
think it's the other
I'm
way
a perfect
around.
hybrid. I love the Midwest, but I love Iowa. Iowa is my home. But Nebraska, I've been here now. You kind of like the LA thing. You've been there 5+ years. I've been here now 8. Actually, just turned 8 in February, and it's my home. You know, my wife and I live here. We're pregnant, gonna have a baby here. We built our first home ever, which is praise God for that. But yeah, this is my home, and I love it. And it's just, it's so funny, this like rivalry and, Nebraska drivers suck. Iowa drivers suck. Their football team suck. They suck. And I'm like, I'll go to an Iowa game. I'll go to a Husker game. I'll drive in Iowa. I'll drive in Nebraska.
You are the RFK Jr. of the Midwest.
I guess so.
So let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
What are you guys making? What are the opportunities you see here in your area? And what's giving you guys life these days?
Man, that's a good question. Yeah. That's a loaded question for sure. I think it's always been a struggle for us finding the time I think it's a little different. Maybe not, but a lot of what we do, 98% plus of the daily work that we do is for a client. And so it definitely is tough to find the time to do passion projects. And that's something that we've talked about many times and tried to carve out time for, but it just never seems like it can take enough of a priority over the client work that pays the bills. And so, yeah, would love to, if you have any insights or tips in terms of that. But we have had a couple projects recently that have been very creatively fulfilling. Really, it's when the client has a vision and cares about the project and gives us creative freedom to do it. But yeah, it's tough, I would say, to find things that are just that breathe in, breathe out. A lot of it is very, I don't want to say mundane, but a lot of it is just, kind of bread and butter, doing what we do day in and day out. And so, yeah, I guess I don't know if I have a great answer to that question because it is something I want to get better at for sure.
Yeah. I mean, being business partners, 50-50 partners, me and Austin have a lot of thoughts and discussions all the time of like, how do we do this thing where we don't just trade time for dollars? You talked about time being your wealth. We very much believe that here. But the unfortunate part is right now where we're at as a company, we very much trade our time for dollars, and we don't really have anything else going on. Like the Musicbed checks coming in, I'm sure provides a level of freedom that you talked about that you've built over 12 years or 24 years really. But so we're really trying to figure out what that can be for us. We're really passionate about creating a lifestyle where we can spend more time with our families, our kids, be able to pay our employees more. We don't really care about growing this like massive agency and numbers and doing all this stuff, but we want to be able to create margin where we can maybe spend a month on a project and just pour our lives into it. And so we're just right now just trying to get to that place. And for us right now, we just purchased a course about marketing. We've never really understood true marketing, what it means to build a funnel and all of the nerdy behind the scenes of Facebook or Meta and Instagram ads and all of these different things that I feel like Nebraska or the Midwest doesn't really do a really great job of, unless these are really massive corporations that are hiring out agencies to do it for them. And so we're like, well, maybe we can be, an assistance in that where we can do the quality photo and video for your company, but also run ads that are very effective and help you scale your business. Well, in turn, I think could, create, a monthly subscription opportunity where we, have some kind of cushion coming in every month that we don't have to stress about the trading time for dollars. But yeah, it's this really bizarre thing getting into filmmaking. We thought we'd be filming like Chance the Rapper music videos or, shooting movies or documentaries. But really, like, as we've grown, we want to do things that make a difference. We want to tell stories that, make people get goosebumps, that cry, laugh, make them feel things. I think similar to your music. And right now we don't have a ton of opportunity to do that. So,
and we're here in Omaha, it's a blessing and a curse for sure. Just there's so many amazing people here. There's so many amazing.
Break that down. So tell me the blessing side and the curse side.
Mm-hmm. So the blessing side is kind of, as you alluded to already, like it's not LA, there's the people here are generally super down to earth, very friendly. Cost of living is low. The quality of life here is fantastic. The other side of that coin is there's not as many people, I feel like, to be that, kind of person. Yeah, there's not as many people or as many connections to be made of people like really dialed in their element that we have friends in town that, continue to inspire us and we can kind of be that for them and rub shoulders and help sharpen each other. But it's just not, at least I've never really spent much time in LA. I've been there one time and I think I was there for like 48 hours, but that's not the culture here as like a overarching just buzz that I feel like you hear about in LA a lot. It's not known for that
the
type
few
of
people
culture.
doing excellent things here
Yeah.
are on an island.
Sure.
And they're looking for their other compadres that are doing the excellent things.
Yeah.
But I think they're like, dude, are we it? Like I'll go to restaurants here when they first open and they're amazing for like the first month.
Yeah.
But to maintain that standard, I'll go back a few months later. It's totally different. And so I'll talk to them about it. I'll talk to the GM or whatever and be like, yo, walk me through this. And they said in Omaha, like in Omaha restaurants, for example, everything is almost good enough.
Yeah.
Like, but nothing ever hits
It's like
that
a complacency.
peak.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I actually was thinking about that. It's not to knock Omaha. It's to say, man, yeah, if you don't have someone forcing you to level up, that's the standard that you're hitting.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what I mean? It's like, the Nuggets lost last night. And it's like, they said the reason it's been so exhausting for us this season is because we've had a target on our backs the whole time. Yet the reason the Timberwolves got them is because the Nuggets forced them to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the Timberwolves, the 22-year-old and Anthony Edwards going, he's that good because Jokic is that good.
Right.
Jamal Murray is that good. And they need each other to play off of each other. And it was tough to watch Jokic have to leave, 3-time MVP. That dude is so humble, so dialed in. But to watch this young team come up, I very much have always seen you guys since I saw you, got to know your work, got to know your culture, your ethos, your desire, your direction. It's like that's you guys. And I just don't want to discount the fact that having like, even if it's a competitor, someone that that's helping you drive and sharpen that, even that focus. Because when I asked you like, hey, where you want to go, you guys could go in 5 directions with what you shared.
Yeah.
Right. But I also think you guys have the gift of time here. Think about what you're doing, where you're doing it, and how forward thinking you guys have already been. When I step into this office, this is not a group of people who lack clarity. This is a group of people who now want to grow and get to that space of freedom.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you've embraced part of what you do is you're in the service industry.
Yeah.
And you're being compensated to do that, which I actually love.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah, we love serving people. I mean, it's definitely not like, oh, we don't get to do the creative fun things. We get tremendous joy out of serving clients and people that have just a tiny little bit of vision or dream about some video they want to do for their company, and we come in and utilize our gifts to blow it out of the water and see them be so excited about this ad or a commercial they're going to run and all of that. And so we're super blessed. We love the Midwest, but I do think we're kind of spearheading like a new direction that maybe that the creative industry hasn't really seen. And because of that, it takes some bulldozing new territories and new roads. And I'm here for it. Like we're here for it. I mean, we do this podcast for completely free, and we have like a whole total of maybe 50 or 100 views every week. And I just hope that
let's get Omaha Steaks to sponsor it.
Not after this episode, they will.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Come on, level up Omaha Steaks.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
giving Nebraska a bad name.
For real though.
They know what they're doing.
They know it.
No, but let's get you a Nebraska sponsor. Here's the deal. I want more Nebraska pride out there. I want people more proud of the products they've got going.
Right.
Yeah.
And going, hey, even with what you're talking about, the bitter end of the sword you described, how you can feel alone at times being excellent. Like, man, I just wish we could get more Nebraska business owners together to talk to each other and to figure out, hey, you guys have a golden opportunity here.
Yeah.
You have relative anonymity in the country, a ton of space to work with, a lot of incentives for businesses to move in.
Yeah.
And as coastlines exhaust people like me, I mean, dude, I'm like 38 and I feel like I'm 108 after 5 years of LA.
Yeah.
What you guys have going on here is far more appealing. And I think from the coastline perspective, I don't want to say we as if I'm from the coast, but like it's appealing to come out here because it's not what I have back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want it to be like that. And I don't come out here and judge. I come out here and I get judged. When I tell people I'm from LA, they go, sorry.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, both people on both ends are doing it. The Angelinos are like, good luck in Nebraska with those crazy conservatives. I'm like, do you even know any concern? Like,
Right.
shut up.
Yeah.
Then I come out here and they don't make fun of liberals. They're just like, I'm sorry you have to live in a sea of homeless people's tents
Yeah.
where the government can't even figure out how to make roads.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm in Somalia when I drive my S10 through the streets of LA. I'm like, RPG, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
It's like, oh no, that's just a homeless guy with a shovel, which is as dangerous as an RPG. Give me my Glock 9, bro.
Yeah.
Make LA great for the first time.
Speaking of shooting, we actually, one of our favorite clients, it's 88 Tactical. It's just down the road. We get to work with them all the time we just wrapped up a really cool, I would say it was like kind of like a mini doc, like a 10-minute, just really overview of what the company has to offer and the awesome things that they do. But have you ever heard of it? 88 Tactical?
No, but let's go.
So yeah, we're members there, corporate members, so we can go shoot guns anytime. We could go right now, but so that's something to keep in mind. But they're like incredible, very visionary. The CEO, Shay Degan, is one of the coolest guys. He's honestly
Will he sell me a gun?
Oh, 100%. Oh yeah. We get like tremendous
go get one?
discounts.
Let's go
go buy guns.
Nebraska.
All right.
Bro, let's
Yeah.
do
Hey, we
this.
can
I don't
get
know
you
about residency
we can get you
laws
wholesale
because-
costs.
No,
on
no,
that
I
bad
know.
boy.
I got an agent already lined up that'll take an out of state gun.
Okay, nice.
You have to show quite a bit in California
Yeah,
to get
I bet.
one in.
Yeah.
But like honestly, with the amount of psychos there, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should
good.
be
For
that
sure.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Also,
anyway,
there is a neighbor on my street who will remain unnamed, who's packing, and that's the best neighbor on.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He saw someone sideswipe our car 2 nights ago. You know, I get this alert when I used to be semi woke. I bought a Tesla.
Yeah.
You know, now isn't it funny now that like the woke people hate that they own the Tesla, but they can't sell it because it's not worth anything.
yeah.
The humor of God at work.
humor
That
of
should
God.
be a new. Let's add a new psalm about that.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, some high idiot on our street, you know, rammed into it and then tried to act like he didn't. I'm like, bro, Teslas have cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get on the
mode.
sentry mode thing, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, you know, sentry mode is triggering an alarm. I get in, and there's this high idiot right in front of my car. Well, thankfully, not only did we have that, all my neighbors were outside and saw the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
I live on the best street. So
Yeah.
shout out Sierra Bonita.
Yes.
We love you. But anyway, I got one on the street who's got one, and I don't want to have to use it.
Right.
I got a
Yeah,
good buddy
of
named
course.
Kevin who used to, well, he still does. He trains SWAT guys.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, my main thing is when I work with you, it's training you not to have to use
For
sure.
Yeah.
force.
Yeah.
And I've been broken into in Kentucky. You know, drug induced dude just walks in, and thank God I didn't reach for my gun safe because my gun at that time was a 357, and I would have lost my hearing had I discharged that.
Yeah.
Without like, what was I even thinking?
Yeah,
bro?
no
I had a hand cannon in one of those things that you type in the combination, it goes,
Yeah.
and it comes out. And the cop who came by was like, "Yeah, dude, like I'm glad you didn't do that for your own sake."
Right.
But anyway, let's go down there and get me one.
There
Yeah.
you go. That'd be
88
great.
Shout out to 88 Tactical,
Shout out
our new
88
sponsor.
Yeah.
Or are we their sponsor? What did we just do?
I
do
think
a
we
little
just,
both.
yeah. We
I just
kinda-
decided to buy a gun, so I'm their sponsor.
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, you're promoting them.
Hey, seriously, I want to involve. If you guys think of ways, I want to involve Nebraska businesses in the music. I want to find a way to give back to Nebraska through this process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether that's coming out and doing a show, which 6 people would show up to.
I know.
know.
Some,
We
I know.
got 4 right here.
Yeah.
Or 5 with Bray. We,
Okay.
we get you 5
I know
people.
some people that be loving some Tony Anderson, so I
Dude.
get him there.
I mean, I think Philip Daniel lives here in Lincoln too. Do you know his music? He's amazing.
Daniel.
He is a true artist. He's an
Is he a
incredible.
music bed artist too?
He is, but I would say he's okay. It's going to sound like a knock. I'm just going to say it.
Sure.
A lot of people on Musicbed are not artists.
Yeah.
They're licensing people.
Sure.
They're reverse engineers. Do you know film people like this? They don't really have anything to say. They just look at what's selling and they
Sure.
get into the industry to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
money.
yeah.
Got it.
100%.
They're opportunists.
Yeah.
And when I read The War of Art, I realized you have actual artists and then you have amateurs. And when I met Philip Daniel, which was years after I discovered his music, this dude is an artist. He's an amazing piano player, and he does concerts around Nebraska. Like the dude took his own investment, went out and did his own limited run tour. He called all the venues.
Wow.
He set up all the shows. I mean, this dude is amazing.
Wow.
And he met me at Archetype one day, and he's a gangster dude. He's an amazing guy.
Wow.
So you got guys, you got artists like that there, and I'll track down Nebraska songwriters all the time.
Yeah.
and try to reach out, and none of them write me back. I'm like, bro, do we need to go back to communication skills 101?
Yeah.
Like, dude, photographers are the worst at this too. I'm sure you guys have this in your industry.
Sure.
People just don't write back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am trying to give you money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help something, and you don't hear back.
Yeah. That's crazy. Wow. Speaking of photography and video, we didn't touch on really, but you're capturing stills for this project. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Film.
Yeah. So talk about the gear you just locked in.
I'm so cool.
Yeah.
I have a film
It's
camera.
back in.
No, I picked up a used Pentax K1000. It's got a nifty 50 on it. It's
Yeah.
Great
It's
camera.
damaged. I think there's like a hole in the lens.
Oh, good. That'll make it better.
But it works, bro. So I've been shooting on Kodak Ektar 160. That's my jam right now. It's super clean.
Yeah.
I like clean. When you get into Portra 800 and 400, it's like too much grain for me. So a lot of film, and I've shot probably 50 rolls since I've been here, but it's expensive to develop film.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like what, $30?
30 to 50,
30 to
depending
50.
on how high resolution you want the tips.
Yep. Yep.
So I went digital, and y'all can make fun of me now. I bought a Leica.
No, dude.
Why would I make? No, I thought you were gonna say Nikon. I was getting ready to,
that was gonna be.
I
tough.
bought an Nikon.
I bought a Q3 because for me, buy once, cry once.
Okay.
That's it. You get something that's an investment.
Yeah.
If you ever want to offload it, make sure it's got resale value.
Yeah.
So I'll never buy like a rip-off synth. I'll buy the synth.
Yeah.
Buy once, cry once.
For sure.
And long story short, I got the Leica. The drawback on it is those psychotic Germans. And this, God, now you know why they lost World War II. They're so dumb. Those idiots put a fixed 28 on the Leica. If that thing had a 50, it'd be the perfect camera.
Wow.
The video looks amazing.
Mm.
But the problem is you hold that thing up to a landscape
Yeah.
and it's worse than your iPhone. It's so wide.
Wow.
So, and then when you punch in to, I think the next punch in is 35, then 50, then like 90, and then one more. The viewfinder doesn't even update with the crop. It just shows you a white series of lines around what you're highlighting.
Wow.
I'm like, you talk about a half-finished product. This is like most tech. I feel like we're paying for tech that we become the beta testers of.
Right.
We're the butt end of every
Yeah.
joke now as the consumer.
Yeah.
They release it half-finished going, we'll fix the rest in firmware. Oh, by the way, it's way more expensive.
Yeah.
And, the thing with the Leica is when it's right,
Mm-hmm.
right? The color is the closest to film I've ever seen. And I had a few friends, one who owns the Q2, who takes way better pictures than I'll ever take, and then one who had the Q3. But out here, I have switched. I just go between film and digital.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal is I want my, when I do the listening party in LA, I want images of Nebraska everywhere.
Yeah.
I want people to feel a sense of place. And then the other thing is I've been doing sound recordings binaurally. So I have mics that go in my ears that look like headphones, and they record 360-degree sound. And I want people to hear the birds. I want people to hear the sounds of this place. And I've started using those in the recordings as well. So,
Yep.
so whether it's the red-winged blackbird, one of the coolest sounding birds, or the bobwhite quail or something like that. I just met some turkey hunters the other day that told me they've dedicated their life to gobbling.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, archetype's my jam because I meet the craziest
Oh, it's the
people
best,
there.
dude. It's a
Bro.
melting pot of the coolest people.
It is.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. Sound, the visual, and then the actual music itself. I want it to be a sense of place. So, in this case, I needed an enemy, which is Bruce Springsteen maiming the name of Nebraska
Yep.
and Omaha Steaks maiming the name of Nebraska to draw out the goodness.
Yeah.
Because I guess this is my little parting shot on Nebraska. Like, you would think with as many talented people as live here, Nebraska would have a better reputation. There'd be more integration among the products, and the artists that are there would know that they exist.
Hey, it's not for everyone.
Wow.
Genius.
It's
That's a
Genius.
true mic drop. I'm not going to mic this. I'm not going to drop this beautiful mic. But that's kind of my thing is like, when you were talking, like people here need a swift kick in the butt to get them going, man. Like, bro, you live in an amazing time, and like, why are there only a few people really trying hard here? The farmers work extremely hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk. I guess maybe when we talk more in the creative and artistic
Oh yeah,
industry,
for sure.
Yeah.
if we had that level of discipline,
Oh man.
even making the food that these farmers grow, y'all would be the best place in the world.
Yeah.
Like, why is there not a single farm to table restaurant in Nebraska that you can go to that has all locally sourced stuff, even if it's only open 4 months a year?
Yeah. I think Block 16 was, have you had Block 16? No. It's a burger spot. I think it's all locally sourced. I could be wrong.
Is it still open?
Yeah, I just actually ate there on
Super good.
a couple days ago.
Well, by my standards.
It's downtown.
I'm adding that to my list.
I bet,
Block 16 is very good.
Shout out Block 16, our new sponsor.
Yeah.
have me as a fourth on the podcast, only to call out people. Who
Yeah,
shout out
there we
sponsors.
go. There we go.
So
actually
Block
need
16. So when stuff like that goes through Nebraska, people just don't like catch on, or they don't want to support it. Is it too expensive? What's the deal?
It is expensive. But
Yeah.
I think the Mercado's like that in Lincoln with certified Piemontese.
Oh,
They're like a Nyman Ranch type of thing.
Yeah.
I think they might be that same way.
But we've
All
got
Nebraska
like
stuff
Modern
straight
Love
to-
where you pay like $18 for cauliflower that's supposed to be chicken.
That's tough.
Chicken wings.
That's
So
sa-
it's like,
that's
I hate
satanic.
is it that it's too expensive?
it,
I don't
dude.
think
No.
so.
That's tough
I don't
to
know
hear.
what it is.
There's a
dude.
demon hiding behind every vegetable.
Yeah.
Facts, though.
Dude,
Those freaking nightshades.
so my buddy Jordan married Michaela Peterson, Jordan's daughter, Jordan B. Peterson. And they the most loved man in America behind Elon Musk. And they only eat meat. Have you heard about this? It's called the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
heard
he's
about
on
that.
it.
And I meet the best people at 801 Chop House. And I met 2 carnivores the other night.
Wow.
They're like, yeah, we've done the meat only diet, and we felt incredible.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
So I'm just like, you and I have talked a lot about this. What kind of supplements are you doing? Are you removing seed oils?
Yeah.
You guys live in the breadbasket. When I go back to LA and I eat out at a restaurant, I get sick.
Yeah.
And then when I get on Seed Oil Scout, which is an actual app that tells you which restaurants are using seed oils.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Shout out to Seed Oil Scout, our new
That's-
sponsor. They'll tell you the score that every restaurant
That's
gets.
amazing.
And some of the best restaurants are using crap, like
Yeah.
grapeseed
Wow.
oil.
That's
Like,
crazy.
what are you doing?
Yeah, dude,
You
just
don't need
wreck it.
oil for a steak, bro.
Right.
Put it on a hot pan,
Yeah.
and that fat renders out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's your nice little gliding butter.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
That's it.
So
Yeah, bro.
Krachik Ranch up in Niobrara. So he's got, if I'm not mistaken, over 1,000 head of bison.
Wow.
Is
So
this the
I'm-
guy that we talked to?
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You talked
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
our new sponsor. His stuff looks amazing.
Yeah. No, it
And-
was. We had some of it.
Yep.
We bought.
Yeah,
'cause I
you went to
the
a farmer's market.
Yeah.
Just the steaks. But when I looked at his bison sticks, the amount of preservatives he loaded in there,
Yeah.
I was like, no,
Yeah.
bro, don't do this.
Yep.
If you gotta keep it cold,
Yeah.
you don't jam it full of preservatives or sugar. But his
Yep.
steaks on their own, dude, that's kind of what it's got me thinking. Like, if I ever invested in something in Nebraska, I would want to do a restaurant.
For sure.
Mm.
Which is a way to lose a lot of money
I
Sure.
love food.
and break your heart. But I'm just like, dude,
Yeah.
it's a wide open. Like, it's a wide open opportunity
Yeah.
here. All it would take is communication and organization.
Yeah.
And I really do believe between Omaha and Lincoln, you have enough people
Oh, yeah.
that would go out and go, even if it's a $10 per person premium on top of what you're used to paying,
Totally.
you know that what you're eating is good for your body.
Yep.
And you don't feel like you need to be rolled down the hill afterward.
Have you ever gone to natural grocers? Like the like shopping market, like for food?
I think I passed one on the way here. Is it like a Whole Foods?
It's like a Whole Foods, but like triple the cost. It's just really expensive. But everything that you're buying is not everything. There's perishables with like preservatives and stuff, but there's also like fresh, like good. That's where we get all of our grass-fed beef from. Like, but it's like,
You're a grass-fed person?
oh yeah,
Whoa.
I'm big
learning
time.
something new about you.
I know, dude.
Why grass-fed instead of corn-finished?
That's a good question. I think they do corn finish to like kind of fatten them up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine. I think because of the corn being sprayed with pesticides and then the cows eating it after the fact.
Whoa.
I guess that's essentially why.
That is inception level thinking about corn.
That is for sure.
You'll find Leonardo DiCaprio at the center of that corn
I have
Center of
actually.
that
with the
corn.
top spinning,
dream.
full
Yeah.
of pesticides. And inside the pesticides are vegetables.
Right.
Got him!
Got him!
Got him!
No, but yeah, my wife and I,
I get
we-
it.
we
So
did-
grass fed.
Yeah,
now,
we did.
okay, let me
Yeah,
let me
go.
destroy your logic.
Okay,
Pesticide also gets on grass.
sure, fair enough.
Now, I'm not saying it's possible to eat pesticide free.
Sure.
but I commend you. I just got to say, sometimes the flavor is just not there for me in grass-fed beef.
Sure.
Am I wrong in that?
I don't think so. I think I've had really good grass-fed. Like my mom, she got a cow last year or whatever. She had a ton of meat. So I was in Iowa and she's like, hey, take some of these steaks home, take these burgers home, whatever. I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'll take free meat all day. So we grilled some at home and we'd been eating this other grass-fed stuff that we got from natural grocers. Even just plain.
Which is better out of curiosity?
Sorry.
The cow your mom bought or natural grocers?
So I can't remember what the brand is that my wife always shops for our food, but the brand of beef that we're getting for just ground beef, we just do a lot of the times we do just plain ground beef with like honey and salt. Like that's just what we do. It's super life-giving. Like I've never had more energy. I've never felt so good. My gut feels great. Awesome stuff. But I eat it like multiple times a week. But the meat that I got from my mom, there just wasn't. And again, a lot of people say that they're grass-fed and grass-finished, or they're grass-fed but they're corn-finished. I feel like the different meats that I've tried recently just haven't really been what they were. And the meat that I got from my mom was okay. It was okay. It was okay. But it had it didn't have the flavor. Like, you know, when you just cook a steak or you cook beef on a grill and the smell of just even like the raw meat on the grill just like gargles your stomach and hunger. It's heaven. It's so good.
For all the vegans out there, that's a feeling you've never experienced and never will.
But every week I'll make a pan of like a couple pounds of this ground beef and just the raw beef hitting and searing.
Oh, dude, it's heaven.
The smell makes me like
Brookie,
ravenous.
She makes this dish at home. She'll do ground beef with some onions, and then she gets Carolina Anson Mills gold rice. So you know about Anson Mills? It's a company in the Carolinas where they protected all of our indigenous strains of corn, wheat, and rice, not modified at all, and they land race it, so they grow it biodiversely.
Okay.
Nothing bad in the soil, and you can buy this. It's perishable, so when the rice shows up, or the oats, or the corn, or the flour, you have to keep it in your freezer.
Yes.
But it is the best rice I've ever had.
It comes in like the yellow, pink, and blue back. Like there's different.
No, it comes in an actual like old school, like cardboard brown flour sack.
Oh, sick.
Anson Mills is the real deal. So that stuff, you feel incredible after you have it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if she's doing sourdough pancakes every once in a while, I realize gluten intolerance is a real thing.
Yeah.
But dude, we have their Anson Mills toasted heritage oats every single morning with farmer's market fruit, raw maple syrup, and then butter from Normandy, France that's raw and unpasteurized. I'll do 4 scrambled eggs every single morning from Lily's Eggs in California. 2 strips of bacon from Autonomy Farms, and then I pull 2 cortados usually, and I use raw milk from a cow to steam. And it is the breakfast of, like, literally it's heaven.
Yeah.
We are that. If you ever saw that old Portlandia episode where the couple is planning on breakfast right after dinner ends, and they go, just 12 hours to breakfast.
Yeah.
They wake up at 2 a.m. to check on the kitchen to make sure everything's okay. Like, dude, that's us.
Yeah.
But it's to say, like, that whole movement of like eating, getting your protein, right? It's hard to get protein.
Yeah.
You fly anywhere, you go anywhere, you drive anywhere in America. Protein is not a prize resource. And so I was asking these farmers the same thing as asking you guys today, like, why is it so hard to find Nebraska beef?
Yeah.
And they kind of looked at me like, you idiot. If we want beef, we go eat one of our cows.
Yeah.
And I realized how out of touch I am that I think you need to go to a place to buy it, opposed to going to a farmer to buy an entire cow's worth.
Sure.
You know, like when we were in Kentucky, we couldn't find raw milk, so we helped a farmer buy some cows, some milk cows, and we just got free milk. That was our investment payback. Was like, just give us milk for years until we break even.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, raw milk. That's literally the nectar of the gods.
Yeah.
A2 protein, by the way, not A1, because there is a difference.
Okay.
That's another episode. And also our next sponsor. But no, it's crazy because when you start getting into, like, I care way more about eating than I do about writing music, you know, and I don't want to let my stomach be my God, but like, what do you have to look forward to as a man after you've worked hard all day? A meal.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get canceled for saying this, but Brookie's favorite thing to do is be a homemaker and make incredible meals. And she loves writing and she loves running our home. And she's a queen at it.
It's awesome.
Right. Like, and she feels so in her feminine energy doing this. And she's beautiful when she does it. I always tell her, you're the most beautiful when you eat, like quite literally. And so she's prioritized. If we're going to dump money down any hatch, it needs to be what goes in our bodies.
Yeah.
and growing up in the 90s in the Midwest, like I said, powdered milk, cheese that just had a big question mark and like black and white on the outside. Like we don't even know what, this is.
Hey, I just found out Velveeta wasn't cheese like when I was like in high school.
There you go.
I was like, what? Velveeta is like practically plastic.
I got sprayed by a crop dusting airplane as a kid.
Wow.
I went out, the guy dropped his marker in a field and I thought he dropped me a present.
Oh, great.
No, me and my siblings ran out there and we all got literally sprayed with petrochemicals.
Wow.
And here I am today.
And here you are.
Look at you go.
Spreading the good news that you too can recover. But like, dude, it is psycho that we survived. Like we went not drinking water as kids to now I'm like, where's my water?
Right.
Where is
right.
it? Oh, it's okay. I have water.
Yeah.
Bro. I'm doing element electrolyte packets now, right, for cellular hydration. I'm like, what's happened to me, bro?
I'm a psychopath. I carry this everywhere. It's like the size of a freaking car.
How many of those do you drink every day?
I just drink one.
Just one.
Yeah,
that's
but
enough.
It's a lot, and I put real salt. I actually talked to you about this, but the salt that's real,
pink salt,
not fake salt.
Yeah, the Himalayan
it's called real salt.
Oh, it is called real salt.
Yeah, it's called real salt. I think I told you about it.
Redmond real salt.
Yeah, Redmond real salt. It's real, not fake.
See, I learned something new. Hey, our next sponsor.
Our next sponsor.
Seriously though, bro, I want you guys to think about this podcast in the context we are today. Let's get some of these people on board and you guys just keep sharing your life and opening it up.
Yeah.
But like, bro, it's so fun to talk about this stuff because this is like universally what so many people are into.
Oh, for sure.
Unless they're into vegetables, in which I go, see you
Psycho.
later, man.
Yeah.
Middle school, see you later. It's weird too because the crystal people out in Malibu that worship the crystals and worship the sauna and all that. I feel so bad for them when they eat vegetables because I'm like, yo, if you're on one side of the political spectrum, rhymes with Tibberel, if a civil war happens, you're going to need your protein.
Yeah.
You're also going to need to know how a gun operates.
Yeah. Yep.
So I thought about starting a nonprofit to help liberals enter the next civil war with success on their mind.
Oh, that's good.
Option one is like, eat your protein, bro.
Yeah.
Get out of your yoga
need the
mat.
energy.
Like you could fit in your yoga mat if I roll it up. That's a bad thing. Women, come on, get your protein going over in LA. And then number two, you got to learn how a gun works.
Yeah.
Because one thing that's always cracked me up about the Civil War concept is like, you have to have two sides that know how guns work.
Yeah.
For
not
a
much of a
civil war. Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? Fight them with your dumb ideas? Like, I'm going to get canceled. I don't care because it truly doesn't matter. But I'm laughing at it going like, you're all afraid of the Civil War in LA because you know you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
You have no defense of.
you have zero defenses.
Yeah.
I think
What would you call your nonprofit?
helping hand.
I think that's already one.
That's already one.
No, it for sure is.
Compassion National.
Oh, nice.
No,
There you go.
I wouldn't call it that.
A helping right hand.
Oh man, I thank you for asking me that because like I need to give some serious prayer.
You got a
and thought
workshop
Yeah.
to that.
to what I got to workshop it. And if you guys have thoughts, like
Yeah, we'll be.
I'm kind of looking for a board. As you know, Rick Iflin told me I'm good at managing a team.
Oh yeah.
You remember
He did
that?
say that.
Yes.
So I feel like
He
I'm
did say something about
something. That's what
Yeah.
I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I heard as an award-winning artist who tops
that.
charts.
Top charts, yeah.
Like that's all I heard
I'm
was
gonna
like,
show you
yo,
what I found when I
shoot for the
Googled that.
moon. But it's funny because the movie coming out, Civil War, which I haven't seen yet. It's like technically it's a movie, I guess, that's about what if a civil war happened today.
Sure.
I'm like, right, because that's what we need is
Right.
more things that
Yeah.
induce fear into the minds of people. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm halfway kidding, but also like, hey, if you're listening to this and you're voting one way for a guy who votes with Trident, like think about your choices. You're going to need your strength and bulk up on protein, grass-fed beef,
Grass-fed beef.
A2 milk,
Yeah.
get your Carolina Gold rice, and I'll see you on the streets.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a hug.
Yeah, and we'll give you a hug.
Heck yeah. Well, that's about all we got. I mean, we just talked about
What an episode.
what an episode, bro. Thanks for being here.
I love you guys. I'll send you Apparition. We should hook it up here. I got my laptop and my interface.
Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure.
I want to play it for you. Maybe some demos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love you guys. I love what you're doing. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And also for the listeners who don't know, they have a basketball court. I just want to confess that I missed 100% of the shots.
That's not true.
100% of the shots
You
I
hit
took.
a 3 after like 30 shots.
Wow. What's the proverb? Like, don't praise yourself, let a friend do it.
Yeah, there you go.
But I just want you to know I am the worst at basketball I've ever been. And I feel like God's challenging me in this season. Tony, get a basketball hoop and practice for the next time you're going to be here with the Glory Boys.
Yeah.
And I want you to sink that first three.
Let's go.
The first one that goes up goes down.
Yes. Anyway, love you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Thanks for being
Thanks for
on.
being here.
Cheers.
But thank you guys so much for listening, for watching on YouTube. Hit the bell for notifications. Like this. Comment below something that you maybe liked or disliked in the comments. We love engaging with our audience.
If you want to follow along with what else we're up to, you can follow us on Instagram at Glory Boys Pod. You can follow our main account at Glory Visuals to see what's happening in the business side of things. We're also on Facebook and LinkedIn.
And join the community. We just started a private community,
Heck yeah.
Thinking Bigger with the Glory Boys, on our own little collab app.
Yeah.
And that's a place where we can have a more personal connection, answer questions, post exclusive content, and we're excited to continue to build that. So if you want to join that, you can click the link in the description. If you're on a platform that doesn't feature descriptions, hop over to YouTube or Apple Podcasts to find that link. But we're so grateful you joined us today, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.
See ya.